Warning, please don't attack anybody. Thanks. On May the 14th, in a game between G2 and Imperial Esports, m0NESY was a very naughty boy, using a one-way smoke exploit to kill 2 enemy players. They won that round, and eventually the whole game, 16-12. Who knows what would have happened had it not been used, but it definitely influenced the outcome of at least one round, which is kind of a big deal, given that this was part of a CSGO major, where up to $500,000 of prize money is at stake. What happened? Something to do with overlapping transparencies is what happened, which is something the Source engine has always had issues with. I made this terrifying map years ago, full of cursed stuff where if you throw a smoke grenade somewhere and then view it from somewhere else, then you're able to clearly see props which should be hidden behind the smokes. I think what's happening here is that the props are big enough for the other end of them to still be in front of the smoke grenade, so the engine gets all confused and makes all of it visible. So while that's not exactly the same thing as what's happening here, it isn't really a surprise that this bug also exists. What is a surprise is that a pro player had clearly learned a spot where it happens as a counter to a popular enemy smoke, and then had the nerve to deploy it in a major in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers. And it's not like it was only done once either. On round 6 he does the setup, but for some reason chooses not to go through with it, maybe because his teammates were already pushing mid. Round 10 you can see him thinking about it, or maybe he just got glitched on the scenery, Valve piece fix. Round 11 he does it, but the exploit only briefly occurs and he's quick to pull away, perhaps because he knows it hasn't worked out. And the same on the final CT round, where again it doesn't work out for him. I will say though, his execution of his smoke is spot on every round. It was clearly a pre-planned team strat, because at one point Hunter, another player from G2, set up the same smoke throw, but didn't go through with it. And it wasn't just seen in that one game either. It was also done in the match against Na'Vi, earlier on in the same day.
Ooh, one way from m0NESY.
They still lost the game where they deployed it against Na'Vi, but did still win this round where it took place, pushing the match into overtime. So PGL responded to all of this, for some reason mentioning that they used the latest client version of CSGO, and then by saying that they'll allow the smoke exploit going forward. And since this was clearly wrong, the teams at the major then formed a gentleman's agreement not to use it. And then, the same day, Valve rolled out an exploit to patch the smoke bug. If I compare the replay from the major before and after this update, if you look carefully enough, then you can see that he can no longer see through the smoke. Bug fixed. In this particular instance, anyway. You can see that the moment the first smoke disappears though, his vision returns exactly to how it is while the exploit is active, confirming that what the exploit does is to somehow remove the effects of the first smoke that was thrown. So where does the blame for all of this lie? m0NESY asked PGL before the tournament if he could use it, and they said yes, so the blame doesn't lie with him. And unless they had a time machine, Valve couldn't have dealt with this any sooner. They fixed it within 24 hours of the debate beginning, so that leaves it with PGL, who first gave m0NESY the all clear, and then tweeted about it afterwards saying it was allowed. But please don't attack them either. Don't attack anybody. This might not be the end of the story. The smoke grenades are still known to be bugged in other ways. Maybe it's time to adopt Zul's next-gen smoke fix, and to do away with these alpha problems once and for all.